Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite the 180. It looks like the tariffs on both Mexico and Canada will be paused for at least 30 days, and then there will be talks again between Trump, Canada, and Mexico as it relates to their border situation. But we heard earlier today that Mexico had agreed to deploy some troops to the border to control the fentanyl flow. This is something they did in 2019 and 2021. But with Trump recently announcing the tariffs, we understand the leverage with these three countries. The United States enjoys a significant advantage over the other two when it comes to not needing Mexico or Canada. There's a lot bigger of a reliance on those two countries when it comes to the United States. So you get into something like this where Trump announces the tariffs and both of the countries try and retaliate, which is what we thought they were going to do, which is why the whole idea of tariffs hurt the United States only, it's a lot more complicated than that. If they just hurt the United States, why would Mexico and Canada do retaliation tariffs? Well, that's because they're going to lose a lot of money if the United States and US based companies don't want to trade with them anymore because of the tariffs that are being placed on those US companies. But now, earlier today, I really wasn't surprised when it came to Mexico, and it could kind of be shifted as a pretty easy victory for Donald Trump. Really, nothing is changing. I guess, honestly, the crypto market unfortunately did tank, and the stock market, a little bit bearish news in terms of these tariffs, but we know Trump loves talking about the stock market. It does seem like with this news now in Mexico announcing that they're going to cooperate, and that's really the main issue in terms of this flow of fentanyl, and they're going to deploy even more troops because, again, 2019, 2021, they sent a lot of troops to the border to try and get control of it. Obviously, their government, you can only ask of them so much considering they're entangled with the cartels, and that's a whole nother story when it comes to trying to take out the cartels. But that's definitely going to be viewed as a very easy victory for Trump. And again, it's proxy manipulation for Trump when it comes to being able to control things with both Canada and Mexico. And now you've got this thing that happened with Justin Trudeau. You've got Donald Trump saying he had a very good recent phone call with Trudeau, and Trudeau is announcing a fentanyl czar. So it's very obvious that Canada did not want to go through with any type of trade war with the United States. There was a phone call between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau. $1.3 billion border plan has been committed by the Canadians. I would imagine Trump said you need to do this if you don't want the tariffs to go on, and Canada said, okay, that seems, maybe there was a negotiation in terms of what they had to do over the next 30 days, but it does look like they're investing over $1 billion and nearly 10,000 frontline personnel being deployed to the border to help stop the flow of fentanyl, which honestly, originally, this is a situation to where I wonder if this still develops, because Trump has made it clear that he does want Canada to become the 51st state. And I've always said, well, it's not realistic. But it seemed like with these tariffs and him threatening and saying, well, if you do retaliation, we're going to bump up the tariffs to 50%. It was kind of seeming like Trump was going to use economic warfare to destroy the Canadians' economy, and basically you're left with an option of join the United States and the tariffs go away and the Canadian dollar doesn't get trounced anymore, or maybe they just all exchange the Canadian dollar for the US dollar, or your economy is going to be sunk. The longer the tariffs go on, the worse it is for Canada. We knew that Mexico and Canada were a lot more reliant on the United States than the United States were of them. That's why the tariffs, the longer they went on, were going to be a major problem. That's why these countries are saying, well, as long as Trump wants something reasonable from us, we will cooperate and we will commit to doing something, which is exactly what's happened. So Trump's been very reasonable here. And really, the United States is not giving up anything outside of like a flash market crash when it comes to what Canada and Mexico are committing to. This is just Trump flexing his muscles when it comes to the United States in general and how big we are and how much more reliant other countries are of us. And it is a leverage play to get these countries to commit more to securing the border for the United States. But I wonder, considering it seemed like Trump was kind of setting up the idea of, well, if we get into a trade war, we know a trade war, it's bad for both countries, but it would be a lot worse for Canada. That's the whole idea of Trump swooping in like a month or two and saying, well, you guys are doing very bad. The tariffs go away if you just join us. But at least right now, it doesn't seem like that's what Trump is really. I think Trump's approached this, at least today, after seeing the stuff with Mexico and now Canada, very level headed. He's not demanding anything crazy. They made him out to be this huge dictator. He's telling them you need to make a commitment to securing your border and stopping the fentanyl flow. And this is something that Mexico, again, they've already done this in 2019, 2021. He just wants more troops there. This is not any crazy asks or anything like this. And then you've got Trudeau. I mean, Trudeau having to name a fentanyl czar. Pretty crazy. You've got Trudeau says proposed U.S. tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days. Trudeau says Canada will name a fentanyl czar. So certainly a win for Trump, considering this is basically what he wanted, at least his demands when it came to him imposing the tariffs in the first place. And the tariffs, people saying, well, it's going to be a very bad negative reaction. Certainly looks like they're not going to be put in place. So we're not going to have any crazy economic turmoil when it comes to the stock market, and we're going to see some recovery here. So this is very good news. And that's the thing I was wondering yesterday. It was like, well, they're going to meet, and this is kind of what I was hoping would happen, just because the markets were not reacting well at all to a potential trade war. And it was a situation to where we can produce things domestically and we don't technically need Canada, but based on the infrastructure we have right now, you would see a short-term domestic price increase. Now, long haul, yes, the United States could really ramp up domestic production, and then you would have competitiveness within certain sectors to where the prices would probably come back down, but it would take a little bit of time. That's just the reality of a potential trade war with tariffs. So when it comes to something like this, this is something that Trump can very easily claim as a win, and it's not that, it's not crazy. It's just the United States is so much more powerful than these two countries. I'm just a little bit surprised that, and this is only 30 days. So again, we'll see with Mexico and with Canada, is there going to be more demands? Because they're only doing that, they're pausing it for 30 days, which allows Trump to potentially demand more things if it comes to that, or reassess the current situation on how well both of these countries are doing as it pertains to what they've committed to doing in terms of securing the border from fentanyl and from immigrants pouring over. This is good. We want to have a relationship with Mexico. Trump wants to really quiet the cartels down. Mexico's been very hostile about that because there is major cartel influence in their own government, which is a big problem in and of itself. But listen, this is definitely going to be seen as a win for Trump, and you're also not going to have to deal with the political backlash of potentially domestic prices increasing with these tariffs being paused, and you can spin it as a win, like the United States gives up nothing, and they basically just force both Canada and Mexico in really kind of a non-threatening fashion, just threatening tariffs to strengthen the border. I mean, this was going to be very, very good in terms of how it's going to play to independence, I would imagine. You've got Trudeau even tweeting out, I just had a call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel. And also there's going to be some coordination with American partners and stopping the flow of fentanyl, naming a fentanyl czar. So that's going to happen. You've also got Trump. This is a CNN, Caitlin Collins, Trump telling her that his meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau went very well. Asked if the tariffs against Canada are still going into effect tonight, he said, quote, watch. So it does look like the tariffs have been paused, both Canada and Mexico, and it does seem like a very, very easy win for Trump. The question is, what does Trump want to do in 30 days? Will there be more demands? Will it just be a, let's see how things are going? A lot of this is like, see, I wonder when it comes to what Trudeau was saying, because you know how these leaders like to word things. Trudeau, the way he's wording this is basically saying like, oh, we were going to do this anyways. And that was the cope originally with Mexico and stuff that I saw. They were like, well, they had already sent troops to the border. Well, I mean, you really got to, Trump gets them to send more and make a bigger commitment into doing that. I wonder how the Canadian situation was with how they were securing their border from the flow of fentanyl, and if they were actually going to implement this, and maybe Trump kickstarted it immediately with the idea of a trade war, which Canada would get destroyed in. And it is interesting how just the social media landscape evolves from yesterday, all the Canadians being galvanized, they booed America with the national anthem, things like that, and now Trudeau saying, I just had an amazing call, and Trump is being very reasonable, and because Trump could have very easily stonewalled Trudeau with this phone call. I don't know if it was Trump worried about, the markets reacting poorly to his potential trade war or what. But it does seem like Trump is definitely showing a grace here when it comes to the situation with Canada, and just saying you need to implement your plan and really stop the flow of fentanyl. And this can be shown as a very nice victory for Donald Trump, with the United States giving up nothing but forcing both of our bordering countries to get control of their problems when it comes to the flow of illegal drugs across the border, and also, especially with Mexico, the flow of illegal immigrants. So, with the United States losing nothing. So, and again, we'll see with a 30-day period what comes of that. But I think this is definitely a good thing for America and for Donald Trump. And you pause it for 30 days, we reassess everything, and we're going to get some market recovery here. So certainly good news out of this situation, I would say. It was just, my thought was, well, based on what Trump has said, and even I think today Trump talked about Canada becoming the 51st state. Is this something to where in 30 days from now, it's just, I'm wondering what is the dynamics there? Is Trump just saying that? Is there going to be another threat in 30 days if they don't do something else? Then he's going to go into a full-fledged trade war. Is this maybe Trump giving Canada a chance and then saying, well, we tried, but there's nothing we can do, and now we're going to go into this trade war, or have, crazy tariffs on Canada, and they would retaliate. And it would give the United States even more leverage if they were able to work out a deal with Mexico, who's another big trading partner, and you just have the tariffs against Canada, because then now you have open trade with Mexico. But that's another problem in and of itself, because it's not like the Mexico situation with the cartels has been solved. So we'll see what happens with Trump. This is something where I would probably attack it one problem at a time rather than having multiple different trade wars. But yeah, obviously Trump is going to want more domestic production, and that's the reality of this situation. You're trying to force domestic production with tariffs, and you're trying to weed these companies away from getting their produce and product from foreign countries. And so to do that, you might need to nudge them a little bit by putting a tariff on and making the foreign imports unattractive through the tariffs, and also generating revenue for the government through tariffs as well. So, because this is something that Trump has said he wants the tariffs. So to see them pause for 30 days, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's not a closed avenue. I mean, we'll see what happens in 30 days if this goes through. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.